This is a joint presentation entitled A People's Metaverse Approach to Place-Based Heritage, using new technologies to enable multiple perspectives and include omitted narratives. Hi, I'm Amanda Murphy, a television producer for over 25 years, now Professor of Creative Industries at Royal Holloway, University of London, where I'm focusing on storytelling and new immersive technologies and developing innovative training programmes.
And I'm Helen Scarlett O'Neill, Senior Innovation and Training Producer at Story Futures. My background is in immersive arts, and I'm currently researching new models for immersive storytelling based on the 2022 project Story Trails. We worked on the project together over an 18-month period. In this presentation, we'll be using Story Trails as a case study, unpacking how we approached it and sharing insights and learnings that have led us to believe in a more participatory approach to 3D storytelling for the future. Here's a short video to illustrate the project's ambition.
Story Trails is the UK's largest immersive storytelling project.
We are inviting people to turn up to their local library. They can have an immersive cinema experience, emotional maps of the place where you live. They can try VR experiences made from the BFI archives, or they can go on an augmented reality trail.
You wouldn't believe that you could stand there and watch this film footage from 80 years ago in this place.
Remember, it's your town.
The Story Trails idea is something that I care about because it is about reminding ourselves that those places are not just special to us, but they're special to our ancestors.
They'll feel, I think, very proud of their city after doing the trail.
This is a story that they wouldn't have been able to experience in a different way, in a different setting.
It really is like nothing that I've experienced before. Truly immersive use of archive. It's so incredibly exciting.
We are offering you the past, the present and the future. It's going to be awesome.
As you can see, it was a complex project with multiple partners, but it reached 1.3 million people and won several awards for our innovative approach to heritage and archive. But before we take a deep dive into Story Trails, let's first rewind to 2018 and tell you a bit about Story Futures at Royal Holloway, which housed the project. Story Futures was funded by UKRI, the UK government's research and innovation arm, with the mission to upskill the nation and to guide these innovative new technologies into the mainstream. Our approach was to build strong partnerships with the creative industry and to co-design research and development programmes with them, so we could learn how to tackle the challenges of these new technologies together. They brought real-world experience of games, film and television, and theatre, and we brought multidisciplinary thinking as our team came from computer science, engineering, psychology, and the performing and digital arts. This work set the stage for winning the Story Trails Commission in 2022, bringing together 7 key partners, including the British Film Institute, the BBC, and one partner we'll talk more about later, libraries. Our ambition was to create a bit of magic with immersive technologies to bring streets and public places to life in 3D, but at scale all across the UK. Let's break down the components.
The poetry of history lies in the quasi-miraculous fact that once on this earth, once on this familiar spot of ground, walked other men and women as actual as we are today, thinking their own thoughts, swayed by their own passions, but now all gone, one generation vanishing into another, gone as utterly as we ourselves shall shortly be gone, like ghosts at cock crow. It was historian and TV presenter David Olusoga who first introduced us to this quote by Trevelyan, a fellow historian. It got us thinking, how might we use new technologies to connect us to those actual people who shared those familiar spots and open a window into generations past? David's role in the project, his focus on untold stories and forgotten people, and his call for a radical reappraisal of the parameters of history engendered a strong sense of responsibility as we went about recruiting our project's storytellers.
We recruited and embedded 50 new diverse creatives from right across the UK into their own towns and communities so they could give rise to and amplify different voices. We were interested in what would happen by arming them with new technologies, allowing them to engage with history and heritage and exploring their connection to place in new and different ways. There were journalists and filmmakers, artists, community workers, and games designers. Crucially, none of them had done this before, which meant they had to be trained, and there were no precedents for our pipelines of work, nor in making immersive experiences simultaneously at scale.
They were ultimately working with different forms of augmented reality. This is notably distinct from virtual reality, which involves taking people into a new world, generally through a headset, whereas augmented reality is all about getting people to see the world that's already around them in new ways. To democratize use of these technologies, we developed design principles and templates, modular methods of building the experiences, and a kit of parts. It was important that the technology wasn't complicated. It had to be accessible for our diverse creators, enabling them to make 3D experiences for the first time, and for the public, enabling visitors to easily experience them in and around their local libraries, which is where they were showcased.
The first half were making a collective piece for their town, a large-scale emotional map of stories around belonging, what we referred to as psychogeography maps, predominantly using 3D scanning. They received smartphones and Zoom audio recorders in the post, and their workflow looked a bit like this. They were first trained in the use of the Scanniverse app, which meant they could scan people, objects, and places. For the technically inclined, it uses a combination of laser measuring, a method commonly known as LiDAR, and multiple photographs from different angles, which are used in the process of photogrammetry. They were then taught how to modular build using a second app called Sketchfab, so they could create imaginative digital representations of their town. So instead of skylines dominated by institutions, corporations, and grand architecture, the story trail's emotional maps are dominated by animated scans of real people and objects relevant to their story, from cake counters to wheelchairs, footballs to front doors, all linking them to the places they feel they're part of. Our tech partners, ISA Design, added a bit of 4D cinema flair. Here's a flavour of their Blackpool work.
Blackpool Tower really is the central focal point of all entertainment here in Blackpool, and some could say for the whole of the northwest. It really is, I would say, the beating heart of the resort. When we come to the start of our season, it really is magical. We all say it here at the Tower. We feel the Tower coming to life again when we start having our visitors coming in to see the circus and the ballrooms open.
Meanwhile, our trail makers were getting to grips with how to make augmented reality walking trails as part of a mobile app. A trail maker's task could be boiled down to 3 core elements: unearthing hidden histories, marrying them to place, and unravelling them as part of an interactive story spread over 6 stops, forming a short, walkable route. These interactive stories evolved from paper drafts through various specialised software, mapping out a story across locations using Miroboard, breaking it down into audiovisual scenes in Descript, and choreographing it spatially using Reality Composer. All of our creatives had access to 2 of the nation's greatest moving picture archives, the British Film Institute and the BBC. Our tech partners Nexus furnished our trail makers with a palette of portals and props within which to house such archive, alongside oral testimonies, to enhance the impact of their stories. They could decide, for example, to play with scale and project onto a wall, or they could invite the audience to tune in to a period-style TV set. Here are how some of these scenes came together inside the app. A 3D version of what's known as the Greenbelt of Sheffield, debunking its reputation as a smoky steel town. A little-known queer history surrounding Blackpool sideshows in the 1930s. And the story of a gargoyle imp from Lincoln.
Thanks for that. I thought I'd be stuck up there forever.
Let's look at 2 scenes in more detail. This first one, Winnie's Honky Tonk Walk by Patricia Lala, tells the under-celebrated story of the first black performer in the UK to get a #1 hit. It brings the audience right into the heart of the action with a surprising phone call.
Hello, I'm calling about your application to be a roadie. Well, Congratulations, you've got the job.
Come join me, Robbie G, as a roadie doing the Lambeth Honky Tonk Walk. Your artist, Winifred Atwell. Your mission, to help her become the first UK black artist to top the charts.
One scene which really delivers on Trevelyan's quote and puts history back where it happened is this one by Duncan Cowles as part of the Against All Odds Trail. It contrasts two homecomings at Dundee train station, those of Olympic medal winners Dick McTaggart in the 50s and Sissy Stewart in the 20s. These moments occurred almost 30 years apart but can now be experienced simultaneously thanks to augmented reality, prompting the audience to consider gender and era differences.
I've seen how the crowd and that, and oh, this is great.
Helping to prepare a great welcome for the conquering hero were two of Dick McTaggart's brothers, one of them back from Suez just in time for the celebration. Well done, Dick. Your family, your hometown and all Scotland are proud of you.
So, were the crowds out for Sissy?
I got nothing like that because I can remember my father saying he'd been speaking to a policeman and he knew I was home because the policeman had seen me going up the road with my case in my hand.
The new creatives built up a collection of hundreds of stories in 15 map experiences and 31 augmented reality walking trails, and off we set with our Story Trails van on a 4-month-long roadshow. Showcasing the work in collaboration with UK libraries put the experiences into the hands of the UK public, who don't typically get access to such work. Outside the library was where our augmented reality trails started and ended. Inside, a huge half-donut immersive screen showcased a fly-through of the local emotional map created. Audiences could recognise landmarks and people and browse more stories in their own time using the array of tablets. A series of booths also offered people a first-time experience of virtual reality. Visitors could also get hands-on with 3D scanning in what was called Big Me, Little Me, kids scanning mums and dads, teachers or brothers and sisters, all creating a photo of themselves posing with their mini 3D doppelganger. So what did people make of it?
Really makes me feel like our stories are actually valued, and the more people we tell that to, the better.
It's just transcendent. It's, if you've never experienced it, it's out of this world.
It reminds you and gives you faith back in the city you live in again, hearing about the good stories going on.
More of this should happen. More history told in this format rather than in books.
One of the great advantages of having a multidisciplinary team on the project was that our psychology-based audience insight team gathered both quantitative and qualitative data throughout. We learnt that 40% of people had never experienced this kind of technology or anything like it before. We found that 85% of people learnt something new, and that 85% of people rated the AR experiences 4 stars or higher, with 91.4% of people rating the emotional maps 4 stars or higher. Big Me, Little Me activity really opened our eyes to the possibilities of democratised tech. It showed us that it was possible for an audience member to create and contribute something in a short space of time, given the right technologies and pipelines. It also demonstrated the potential of embedding delivery skills within libraries and cultural centres. We trained 909 librarians over the course of the project, and indeed librarians were keen to take things a little further. This led to us developing Easy Dioramas, a simplified version of our Mapmaker's Emotional Maps pipeline, which was used by librarians and local creatives during the project's legacy period. Most recently, it was used by our Brixton Library partners to capture the stories of an ageing Windrush community.
Our work to date set the stage for CoStar, more recent funding providing an infrastructure for the creative industries, and a new centre for doctoral training aimed at achieving media inclusion through the use of AI. So as a national centre, we're really keen to support libraries in their journey, bringing together partners from the local cultural ecology to help bolster capacity. We believe that addressing digital inclusion and skills development is key to achieving the UK's commitment to digital innovation. There's strong interest in a second iteration of the Story Trails project from many museums, theatres, art galleries and archive holders in towns across the UK, We can hope that it will uplift all communities through equitable access to culture and heritage.
Looking to the future now, we'd like to share some of the thinking which underpins our ideas of what a Story Trails 2.0 might look like. Inclusive innovation will be at the heart of a new participatory model. What we're ambitiously looking to achieve is what we're referring to as a people's metaverse, a living mixed reality collection that allows for public contribution and changes and grows over time. To kickstart this process, creators would make showcase pieces with inspirational universal touchpoints. Stories would be chosen not because they represent any comprehensive or complete view of history, but because they are good catalysts for onwards interaction. Each immersive piece would contain mechanisms through which members of the public could bring their own stories to life using democratized mobile processes. So it's a catalogue that acts as a catalyst for public participation. We refer to this exchange as a community of becoming, an undefined group of people in the process of creating a whole that cannot be fully understood or defined by any one person. It's a step away from the voice of the one or the few and towards a multi-perspectival mode of storytelling. The recent proliferation of AI and AI-assisted technologies makes ideas like these more possible than in previous years. For example, here's something I tried out in my local graveyard, a new kind of diorama made using an app called Polycam, which makes use of an AI-assisted bubble effect. Here's another example. We recently put together a public-facing pipeline allowing partners in Blackpool to quickly upscale, colorize, and animate their old photographs in combination with their oral testimony. This one features Winifred Atwell from our Brixton Trail.
Hello folks, and welcome to the first of our piano parties. I'm sure you will agree that my old piano certainly gets things swinging, so we'll start right off with one of my party medleys.
The exciting thing is that everything seems possible, and a participatory model for history and for storytelling in general seems just around the corner. Thank you so much for joining us for this presentation. You can find out more about what Story Futures does and about the Story Trails project by using the information on screen and also in the description. We hope you're as excited as us about what the future might hold, and we wish you the best of luck with all of your projects.